Welcome to the Leica Captivate web series number 4, where we will focus on the stake points application. My name is Brad Beeler. I work for MTS in our Wappingers Falls, New York office. I'll be joined by Pierre Labbe, Director of Technical Support at Leica Geosystems. So the Captivate Stake Points app offers familiar methods of graphics for staking points, but it also contains a wide range of customizable features. Point selection, display of information, quality control, and reporting are all made very easy in this app. And Pierre will cover all of that in the upcoming seminar. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that Leica has released a new version of Captivate, Leica Captivate version 10. It has a new look when it comes to the home screen and how the apps are displayed. They've gotten rid of the carousel and moved more towards a sort of a tabular look. You can still use the carousel if you want to run it in legacy mode. But for this seminar, we're going to continue to use the same version we've been using, version 9.12. And then on the next seminar, we'll go to 10, and maybe we'll spend a little time talking about version 10 and what the differences are and the improvements. The TS20 Robotics Total Station is all new. It has newer, faster motors, a new camera, new optics, a faster EDM. And the big thing now is that it incorporates AI into its workflow. With its new advanced camera and NPU, it can recognize targets better than ever in adverse conditions. It can alert you when it sees a target that doesn't match what your settings are, so it can automatically detect a prism type. And it can find and center on reflective targets now as well. It's also optimized to use with the AP20 pole. But if you want more information on the TS20 Total Station, see your local MTS rep, Dave or Jim or Stuart or myself. But anyway, let's get started with seminar number 4, the Stakeout app. I'll turn things over to Pierre, and he can share his screen, and we'll go through the app.
Thank you, Brad. So good evening, everyone. You should all see my screen. And I'm just going to start by going over what we want to cover during this webinar. Again, the focus will be on the stake points application. Most of you might be aware of this application, but like Brad mentioned, there's a lot of customization that can be made, and there's also a few tools. There's a few display option also that we want to show you during this webinar. So here, I'll start to talk about the design data, how we manage design data, and then I'll go under the actual settings of the stake point application. And there's different pages of settings, so the general, the visual, the quality control, the height, edition and offset, the info page, TS specific. Then I'll talk about the different map display option to display some point information, lines, DTM, and background. Then the stake point screen, the viewing icons on the map view. We'll go through that. Then stake point, the continuous mode with total station, and of course in GS it's in continuous mode automatically. Auto aim, again I'll demonstrate that, how we can have the instrument turn automatically to some point. Press and hold on the map view, Again, some functionality you'll see in the StakePoint app. You can use those functionality in other app within Captivate, like the press and hold. Depending on the app, you'll see different option coming up. And then the tool function, and then F6 to the StakePoint tools. There's a few tools hidden there, like check your Backsight for total station. Generate a cut sheet if you want to customize a cut sheet and export cut sheet right from Captivate. We'll have a quick look at that. Turn to point into 2D, 3D. Manually enter point to Stakeout and then stake elevation. So just here, I won't spend too much time on it, but like Brad mentioned, I got here my simulator with Captivate 10 on it. Just wanted to show you here the look and feel. There's no more job carousel. So the job now, you can scroll up and down and you can view all your job. You can select the job you want to use by clicking on it, but there's no carousel anymore. And you got all of the options that we are used to see by clicking on a job, the data management, the manage the job, the import, export, it's all there. The app are right there, so we can quickly access 9 apps from this screen right there without having to scroll. The additional app, you just kind of scroll down and you'll see them, but you got quickly access, to multiple apps. And if you want to go to your settings are all grouped together at the bottom. Once you're in an app or into some settings screen, it's all the same. It's just they just changed that initial home page to make it more user friendly. So, and like Brad mentioned, you can always revert back. If I go into my settings and my system settings and my startup software, there's the home screen. And if you want to use the legacy home screen, you check that box, and then Captivate will open in the legacy the way you might use to see it. And that's what I'm going to use today. So I'm simply going to minimize my simulator, and now this is the one I'm going to use now. So I'm in Captivate. It's still version 10. I'm currently connected to an instrument. Like for those of you that have seen some of our previous webinar, I like to be connected to an instrument to try to make it more live and maybe easy to visualize what I'm doing. So I have a job, like you can see here. So we're going to talk about the Stakeout app, but I have a job here. Like you can see, I lock my job on the carousel so it won't move. And just for your information, if I flip the job and I go under the job property, so the data I'm going to use, there's a few things. I got some reference files. I'm using a drawing file, DWG, and an IFC file. So you'll see those are background file, but I can extract information from an IFC model or from a drawing and use it to stake out points or lines. I also linked a design data. Design data, you see there's like 4 types of design data: a DTM surface, a road design, a rail, and a tunnel. And I'm going to just link to display to show you the display of a design data in the background. So I'm using a DTM in here. So I'll store that, but this is just to give you an history of my job preparation for the Stakeout, StakePoint. I also imported points in it. So if I go to my 3D viewer, at least you see here, my instrument setup is on point 1, and this is my job site, and I got a few points to stake out. I got the drawing of a parking, and I got my IFC file. So I'm going to, now that you know about my setup, I'm going to go to StakePoint. As soon as I enter my Stakeout application, I get a warning here. Design data. Do I want to use point and line design data? And this is an important, you might not all have seen this, but this is an important part right there. The point I want to stake out, I'm in StakePoint currently. The points that I want to use to stake out, are they in my current working job, or do I want to select them from a different job? That's where I would use that checkbox and use points and line from a different job. So my Captivate will look in a different job, the selected job, to grab the point for stakeout. And if I stake them out and I store them, they will be stored in my current job. So, and one thing about that design data prompt right there, if you don't get that, and when you go in stake point and you automatically are in the stake app and you don't see that design data selection, it's one settings. I'll go back to the main menu. And in the main menu, if I'll do function unlock, because I want to go to that tab here to choose design data. So that's where you can manage design data, point line, DTM, road, rail, all kind of design data. Within the design data manager, if I do the function key on my keyboard and I press settings, there's only one settings, and it's to be prompt to choose design data when I start an app that can use design data. It's not checked by default in Captivate. And if you're doing a lot of stakeout and using design data, you want that to be checked. By checking this box, it's the only settings within the design data screen. Then I'll lock it again. Then in any app, if I go into as an example, stake to line, you'll be prompt. Where do you want to take the data you want to use in stake to line? I'll go back to my stake point, and it's asking me where do I want to take the data to do my stake point. If it's in my working current job, I don't need to do anything here. I can just press OK. But this prompt right there, the only way to get that prompt to show you where you want to take your design data, it's by checking that settings into the design data manager. Now I'm in. So we're ready to stake out a few points. So it's ready to stake out point one. I can zoom out a little bit, but we can see the instrument is right there, and we can see where the instrument is aiming. So we're ready to stake out a few points. The first thing I want to do here, before we do anything else, I just want to go over the stake point application settings to have a look at them. So to access the settings, and it's the same in every single Captivate application, you need to press function, and then you'll get the settings for that specific application you're in. So in my case, I'm going to access the settings for the stake point application. Now I'm in. Since it's a stakeout application, there's a lot of settings we can go through, and I'll go through all those pages one at a time. Under the general page, again, we got a few settings. Do we want to automatically select the next closest point? So that box, it speaks by itself. If you're staking out a point and you check that box, but the next point that will be suggested for you for stakeout will be the closest one of the one you just take out. So I'll leave it unchecked myself right now, but that's what it's for. And then, of course, that's an important one. If you're staking out point and you're going to store them, how do you want to store those points? So you got a couple of different options. Popular one is to use the design point ID and to add either a prefix or suffix. So I'm going to leave it to design point ID with a prefix. And then underneath here, the default prefix, it's STKE for stakeout. So I'll leave it there, but you can override that. You can put whatever you want that will be used as the prefix next to your actual design point ID. Then, do you want to view a result page after staking a point? So this box right there, when you stake a point and you store the point is stored and everything will disappear from your screen. All the stakeout value will disappear when you store a point. And you may want to review that information, maybe to leave information in the field on a peg. So this option, view result page after staking a point, will allow you and help you to do that, to review all of the stakeout information prior to disappear from the screen, so you can take note and leave information in the field. So I'll leave that one check right there, so you'll see how it behaves. Again, design point code. If the design point that you're staking out have code, do you want to show it? I'll leave it there. Do you want to automatically use the design point code and attribute and use that with the result stakeout point? I'll leave it there. And the last one here, we have a field in Captivate in the database called a code information that could be used to populate automatically. And here it's set to manual input, but you got some option. You may want to have the design point code assigned to the code information, the design point attribute, 1, 2, 3 assigned to the code information. I'll leave that one to manual input, so I won't put anything there automatically. But the general page, the most popular option, settings, you know, the view result page after staking a point, it's a popular one. How you want your stakeout point to be named if you store them. So those are popular options that we may want to change once in a while. The visual and audio page, of course, you'll be guided as you're staking out points, so you can change the method. Total station robotic facing the instrument, it's a default method. You can change how you want to be oriented. So there's multiple method you can pick from. Most popular one, it's facing the instrument or it's behind the instrument if you are using doing stakeout as a two-man crew. So, and then there's a few other methods that could be used. So I'll leave it to facing instrument. You'll see some arrow on the screen and you can either pick in and out, right or left. I think those are the most popular one here, but you can pick a direction and distance. So it will tell you which direction to go and a distance to go right to the point. So, but I will leave it to in and out, right or left. I think that's the most popular settings here. Do you want to switch to bullseye? So when you get close to the point within 1.5 feet, if you select that option, then everything on the map will disappear and you'll see a bullseye, and then you want to be at the center of the bullseye. So some people like it, some people don't like it. But I'll uncheck it and I can turn it on later. Beep faster, same thing. The system will beep as you stake out. If you want the system to beep faster, you can set which distance you want and you can hear the beeping going faster when you get closer to the point. Again, I'll leave it unchecked in my case here. Then, of course, it's a staking application. You can set some tolerance. So if you want all your point to be within a certain position limit, height limit, or position and height, then you can set your limit. If you want to set your point within 300s, 3,000, my fault, 300s of a foot, and I don't know, maybe 5. So you set those limit, and when you'll stake out, you'll see the arrow in and out, right, left. And when you'll be within your limit, the arrow will be green, telling you that you're within your limit. And when you'll store a point, if you're within those limits, the point will be stored without any warning. If you're outside of your limit, when you try to store a point, you'll get a warning that you're outside of your quality control settings. So again, if you want the settings, that settings to be in the field. If you want the check to be done for quality control, you check that box. If you don't want any check to be done in the field, you can simply uncheck that box. I'll leave a check in here. Height. If you're staking point with elevation, do you want to be able to edit the height of the selected point so that the elevation will be, you'll get the design northing, design easting, but the design elevation field will be open, allowing you to overwrite it. So if you want to manually overwrite it to stake out a different elevation, this box here, the allow editing, will allow you to do that. And offset, if you want to set an offset here in elevation, so if you have points on to stake out and they are at a certain elevation, but you want to stake them out all like half foot lower, or you could put a minus 0.5 feet, and then all the elevation you'll stake out will be half a foot lower than the design elevation. Again, those are tools to be careful with, but they are could be quite useful if you need to exit or stake out some offset elevation to, for your points. So I won't do anything in my case. The info page. Info page, we have that page in all of our stakeout application, stake to line, road stakeout, tunnel stakeout. And this page, we let the users customize what it's important for them to view while they do stakeout. So it's fully customizable. That info page, you got like 16 lines, and you see a lot of them are unused. And by default, you'll see the first few ones. So here you can pick any one of those lines and change, select what you want to display, what's important for you to view in the field when you do stakeout. So this is a very popular page for you. We cannot customize everything we see in the stakeout app, but the info page, it's the page where you can customize yourself, And I'll show you that page later. Then we got some TS for total station. So I'm currently set up to and connected to a total station. So I got this page right there. If I was using GNSS and doing GNSS takeout, I won't see that page. But here we got do not update stakeout value between distance measurement. So you can, if you're moving between point and you took a distance on one point and then you're moving, if you don't want the stakeout value to be updated, you can check that box. Automatically aim instrument to point being stake. In robotic, it's probably not suggested to do that. The instrument will want to turn by itself to the next point that you want to stake out. But if you're two men, you may want, that option. So when you pick a point, the instrument will turn automatically to the stakeout point. I'll show you a manual way. At any time, you can easily tell the instrument to turn to a point, so it doesn't have to be done automatically. Show direction message to the next point. So again, if you want to see a banner on top telling you when you pick a point, telling you the direction and distance, you could check that one. And then if you want to do your stakeout by measuring all points in two faces, you got that other settings right there. So I won't use any one of them right now, but those are total station specific settings. And the last, we got report. We can create report sheet as you do stakeout. It's not used a lot. Normally at the end of the stakeout, the end of the day, we will generate any report we might need. So we rarely use that option, but that option will allow you to pick a format file. So it's using format file. So you need to have a predefined format file to generate a stakeout report. And if you check that box, it's going to write the report as you do the stakeout. So, but most of the time we will generate the report at the end of the day. So here I've been through the list of all of the settings for the stake point application. So at this point, if I press OK, I'm back to the stake point application. The map display. So next thing I want to talk before I won't stake out a ton of point. I think it's when you'll see me stake a point, staking 1 point or 25 points, it's all the same. But the goal here is to talk about all the tools around the stake point app, and hopefully you'll learn a few tips and tricks. The map display on the map itself, we got settings here, and under that settings, and this is related to the map, we got layer. If you're using a CAD, you can turn on and off layer. But the one at the bottom here, it's the display, object display. on the map. What do you want to see on the map? So you got general. So if you're doing RTK, do you want to include the RTK base station? So that's something, you know, when we do RTK with a network and we have a reference station 20 miles away, we don't want to include that RTK reference station on the map. Our job site will be in one corner and the RTK reference station in the other corner. So those are typically not checked under the general page. Points, what do you want to view on the map? The point ID for sure. The point code, do you want to see the height or not? So you'll see if by selecting the height, if I go back to my map view, well, you'll see my that I'm using, most of my points are set to 0. But here you can see the height being displayed, so you can turn that on and off. So, but this is for the points. Line and alignment, same thing. You can select what you want to view on the map. Scans, DTM, if you work with the DTM model, if you check that box, you can pick the color of your DTM, and then you'll see it being displayed. So we have a DTM and it's in the parking lot right there in the green in the background. So I'm not going to use the DTM. I'm in stake point only. We have other apps to work with DTM, but in the map display, it's an option to view or not a DTM. If you have a DTM design data linked to your job, you can turn it on and off from the map view. So I'll remove it from there. We're not going to use it. And background image. I know on the previous webinar, we talked about using a web service. So we have a live feed like Google Earth. My data set I'm inside now, it's all local, so I'm not geo-referenced, so I cannot use a Esri word imagery. But we can also use images from a file. So geo-reference images, and I've done it for my job site in here. I have a plan, like a demo mat, and it's a PDF document that I geo-reference myself just to at least give you a better idea of the site I'm in. And you can see that my job site. So at least now it makes more sense. I know I'm going to stake a manhole. So I'm going to stake this manhole right there. But what I'm using in the background, it's a geo-reference PDF document in that case. So and the reason I've done that is to try to make it easier to understand, you know, my job site for you to be able to view it. So this is all the display settings here, what you want to see on the map. Cool. Then talking about the map, on the right side here, we got, of course, you know, we got the camera here because we have an instrument with camera. I'm not going to go in the camera view. So there's multiple view. So we got the typical plan view. I can switch to a 3D view. So when I'm in 3D view, my zoom option is giving me the orbit. So I get the orbit only when I'm in 3D view. If I go back to plan view, I don't have any orbit anymore. So the 3D view allow me to have an orbit, and I can rotate around. And in this case, you can see my IFC model, 3D model, and I'm going to stake out some element from it later. So, but as far as view, you got another different 3D view that, and then you got another stakeout view, like you are behind the instrument and then you see the instrument and you'll be guided. So you got the choice of the different view. The most popular one, or definitely the plan view, it's definitely a popular one, and that 3D view is quite useful also. So this is for the different view. Zoom, zoom all, zoom in and out, zoom selection. You can make a fence selection in an area. Zoom to my prism, my position, and zoom to a point. So if I pick center to your current prism position or GNSS antenna, and center to a point. So if I pick a point and I do center to point, it's going to center that point. And if I take a distance right now, you should see my prism is right there, so I can center to prism, and it's going to center the position to my prism. So prism is right there at the bottom right there. So I can undo that. So those are all that. Zoom option. This one right there, it's a select tool that some of you might have seen, and they added in version 10, Captivate 10, 2 new tools here to be able to snap on object, to be able to do some stakeout. So we can snap to a corner, we can snap to a center of a closed element, we can snap to the face of a IFC file or a edge of an IFC file. And then we can import those and work with them. So the way it works, so those could be quite popular. I'm going to go here. I can zoom in, and I'm just going to go back to this. And let's see, I'll do a few things. I'll come here, and let's say I want to stake out the edge of the parking line right there. The line right there is from a DXF file. So I can simply pick select corner, and I can pick that corner right there, click a few seconds, and then import. So now I just imported a point. I don't have much closed element, but as an example, just to show you here, I got a closed surface right there. So, but if it was a column of a building and you want the center of it, if I pick the center of a closed element, and I pick, so now it's going to create a point at the center, and I can just click OK, import. So now I created 2 points right there, and those are ready to be used for stakeout. So, and then if we move to that 3D model, let's just quickly come to that 3D model, and we'll just import a few elements, not too much. So I can pick the side of it, and I can click a few seconds, and I can say hide object. So I can kind of hide few elements, so I could see inside my 3D model, so I could zoom in. So if I want something inside, but let's say I want to stake out, I'm just going to pick, again, it could be that line at the bottom right there, so I could pick the edge. And now if I pick the edge, that line, a few seconds, import. So that line now is ready to be used in a stake to line application or measure to line. And then if I want to get the corner, I need that corner right there, import. So I won't do more, but this is really nice and a handy tool right there, the snap, to be able to work with drawing file, IFC file, and select element that we want to use for layout. Cool. Okay. So let's try to lay out a few points. So I'm going to, like I said, you can, for point to stake out, you can pick point. You got a few options. You can click on a point on the map itself. You zoom out. You just turn off. I'll remove my background just for now. There we go. I want point. Just get outside and back into stake point. I want point 100, 101. So one way to pick the points you want to lay out, you can pick it from the map view if it's easy. You can always come in the drop-down list and select point from a list just by entering the number of the point. You want point 102, you just punch that number, and then that point is selected there. So you can use that drop-down, enter the point number, or you can just pick it from the map. Then from the map, you can, again, I'm doing everything here reflectorless, you know, but if I was on a pole, robotic, 360 prism, I'll do a power source, the instrument will find me. But here, I can use, if I click anywhere, I can pick turn to point. So now the instrument is turning automatically. You see that orange line. I can take a distance. And now we can see that, again, I'm not too far away from the point. So I simply need to move a little bit. I'm just going to move closer. And that should be for us here. I won't spend too much time. So again, I'm within 8,000, 14,000 and 25. So all green arrow means I'm within my tolerance. So, and you don't see the bullseye right there. If I do function settings, if you pick that bullseye, but that's what you see. So again, some people like it, some people don't. So, but that's just a different view. You don't see anything else other than the bullseye, but you still see all the same information at the bottom. So I prefer not to see the bullseye, so I'll remove it. And then if you store the point, so now the point is stored, but you see the stake result page, and then you can review the information and you can leave some information in the field. So that stake result, the only reason why we're seeing it, and it will be stored at stake point 100 here. I can review the coordinate. I can enter a code if I want it. I can enter some elevation and there will be some calculation being done. And if I store the point, so the point has been stored, and the only reason we've seen that view stake result page, it's this settings right there, view result page, it's checked. If this is not checked, we won't see that view result page. So some like it, some don't like it, but it's kind of a nice setting. So stake out that point. I can zoom out a little bit. And let's say I want to go to that building corner right there that we just imported from that IFC model. If I do the function, again, you can click on the screen and you can do the turn to point, or you can pick to exit the point that you selected, or you can delete the point. So, but if I do the function tools, we have a turn to point in 3D, turn to point in 2D. So I was turning to my point by just clicking on the screen a few seconds. But another way to turn to a point is this function tool, and let's say turn in 3D. So now my instrument, it's currently aiming into that corner. If I take a distance now, I'm in continuous mode, and I'm pretty close to it right now, so I can zoom in. So cool, I'm within my tolerance. The info page, that page is right there. Remember, function settings, the info page here that you can customize. It's that green eye info page, and everything you see here, it's what you already customized. So you want here to customize that to visualize what's important for you to view when you're doing some stakeout. So if I take my distance, my tolerance, I'm within my tolerance, I can store my point. I got my view result page that I can review. If I'm good with it, I can press OK. And now I'm ready to stake out a different point. So stake points, again, I just stake point from an imported file, point file. I just take out a point from a that I imported from an IFC file. I could move, if I want to stake a point that I imported from a drawing, I can pick this point right there. I can click a few seconds on my screen, turn to that point, and take a distance. And okay, I need to just come a little bit closer, and here we go. So I'm within my tolerance. I'm staking out now a point that was important from a drawing file. I'm good. I can store the point. I can review my stakeout information and accept it. So those are for staking out points. And the last thing I have not mentioned yet, it's when you do the function key, we've done the settings, but we have tools. So there's additional tools like most of our application, they all have certain additional tools. Here, since I'm in total station mode, I got check Backsight. If I need to check my Backsight, I want to check it regularly, I can just access check Backsight. We've seen that tools within the webinar on the Measure app. It does the same. We got, of course, turn to a point in 2D, turn to a point in 3D. We got manually enter horizontal and distance. So if we know from your setup, you want to enter an azimuth, distance, and height and stake it out. So you can manually enter information to manually stake out point by azimuth and distance. And you got stake elevation if you want to stake a specific elevation and stick to that one. So you can enter an elevation, and that's the elevation that will be used. It will be reset after you do it once, but if you want to stake that elevation for more than one point, you got to check here a box to make it more permanent. So then you can stake multiple points with that same design elevation. So, and at the end of it, if we're done with our stakeout, of course, there's a tool here to create and export a cut sheet. So if I go into export cut sheet, you need a cut sheet definition. By default, this field might be completely empty. If you never use it and you go there for the first time, it will be empty. So what you'll have to do is to create a brand new one, you give it a name, and then you just customize it. So as an example, I made one called MTS, and if I exit it, I want to get a cut sheet in a comma delimited file so I can open it in Excel. I want to see the header of all of the columns, and then you can customize the first column, whatever you want. Again, design point ID, design northing easting, the stake point ID, and the stake northing and easting, the delta northing and easting, the cut field. But then you can go on and on. You can customize and add anything you want in relation to the stake point application that you'd like to see into a cut sheet report. So you customize it, you save it, and it will remain into your system, and you can have multiple cut sheet definition if you need different information for different person. So I'll pick that one, and I will export. I will generate my cut sheet on a USB I might have on my controller in the data folder, and that's my job name, and I'm just going to press OK on it. And do I want to overwrite it? Yes. And then I'm done. So now I just created a cut sheet. There's other ways to get it, but that's a nice and easy way that you can anyone can customize the cut sheet report. So if I look at it again, it's a quick overview. I did not stake out too many points. I think the most important part was to make everyone aware of the function settings, the function tools available, the view, the map, the object display, the snap functionality. It's kind of a new one that could be very useful if you work with drawing file and IFC file. So at this point, I don't think I have anything else to add on the stake point application. I don't know, Brad, if there's anything you would want me to add.
No, I think so. We covered filters in a previous session. Sometimes you'll get a stake file that's huge, and you'll want to kind of clean things up and parse things down a little bit. So there's filtering. We covered that, I think maybe in session 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But you could see how you can, if you got a large stake file, it's a text file, for instance, you can filter your points so that you're not looking at so many. You can do it by a range of point IDs or even by code, so that you're only seeing the points you want to work with at that time.
There's just did it with point 100 and 105 as an example, so I'm not seeing any other point now other than those point that I filter. So it's easier for me to pick point for stakeout in that case. And just on a side note, when you stake out a point, it's being flagged also in the list. So you know also visually which one have been staked out. We could also make them disappear from the list when we go into the function filter. And if we go stake, we want to view only the point to stake or the stake point. If I just pick point to stake, and then I come here, then you see my 100 is not there anymore because it's already staked, so it will disappear. So I can filter my points to only see the point I want to stake out, and I can also set a filter for once they are staked out, remove them from my screen. So, and then when I'm done, one thing you don't want to forget, and when I'm done, I can go back to my function filter. I can go to stake and I can say, okay, I want to view all point now, and I will put that back to the highest point class. That's the one that we have by default. Now we're back to exactly where we were. We see all the point, but filter could be useful here if we have a big, like Brad mentioned, if you have a big point file, you can easily filter the point to make it easier to navigate within your file.
Yeah, thank you, Pierre. And that was great. Let's share this now. So as always, a recording of this presentation will be made available on our website or on our YouTube page or YouTube channel. Please, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to your local MTS representative, or you can email me or Leica Technical Support for with any questions you have on the Stakeout app. I hope you have a great evening, and we'll do another one of these in about a month on another topic. So thank you all very much for attending. Pierre, thank you very much for your work, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.